Greetings, gentlemen. It is I, Victor von Frankenstein, back again with some more content as promised. Welcome. Let's get started. So it is a beautiful day here in southern Wisconsin. Cool air outside, wind is blowing, the leaves are changing. Looking forward to the winter time, that's for sure. But I'd like to discuss a little quote from the late great James Douglas Morrison. And somewhere in the American Prayer, as he's reading through some of his poetry, he makes the statement that we are perched headlong on the edge of boredom. And it's a profound statement coming from that man, someone that had all the riches and that any man could ever want, all the women in the world that were just throwing themselves at him back in the day. We understand those are things during those times. Those were some different days back then. Not quite like today. But the more that I look and the more that I analyze things going on the internet and just out in the world, the real world in general, people are bored. Because they don't have anything to do. They don't have anything to strive for, to drive them. Everything's been seen. Everything's been done. There's no longer a motivating force for most of these, especially younger people. There's no adversity to overcome. They've become decrepit in their decadence. The lap of luxury has created a life of apathy. And sure, there's people that are still pushing the envelope and creating new things. Society, people are still constructing new buildings and erecting new structures, and life will continue on regardless. But society in general is definitely in a downward spiral. And we can all see this, gentlemen. Us here in the MGTOW community, in the red pill manosphere. But it's true that we are perched headlong on the edge of boredom. When it's all been seen, when the same messages are repeated over and over again, there's nothing wrong with repetition, and I understand it here in this community where we need to drive these messages into people's minds. Because the only way that most of these people seem to ever understand or learn anything in their life is the hard way, unfortunately. But when it comes to the infiltrators and the chameleons that try to come into the community and try to spit that PUA bullshit and that blue pill simping bullshit, well, we all recognize that, and that's all been said and done many times before, and they'll continue to do it. They'll continue to voice these ridiculous opinions about how men need to run on back to the plantation, get married. Now, this is the exact mentality that is just going to push the further downward spiral. And if anything, it will push some men, you know, unfortunately the hard way, towards MGTOW and towards the red pill knowledge that we all share. But we've seen it. We've been down that road. We've been there. Done that. Got the t-shirt. Fucking burned it. You know, it's amazing to me. There's one thing that I've noticed amongst women. And whenever I would analyze some of these dating sites purely for research material, mostly to analyze the ridiculous feminists and the agenda that's been pushed into these women's minds about how we're all equal. What a joke. There was a common theme amongst all of them, and there's a common theme that I've heard women say in public and to my face. And I'm sure that you gentlemen have heard this or seen it in a profile before, where women say, I'm bored. Like, it's not because she's bored. It's because that bitch is boring. And most of them are. What they're seeking is for you to be their entertainment. For you to be the joker, the jester, the fool, and entertain her. It's because women don't know how to occupy their time, fulfill their time, and fulfill and satisfy themselves simply by watching a movie, reading a book, doing something to better their lives. They want you to entertain them, to be the dog and pony show. And when that dog and pony show and the circus gets old and boring, well, they'll just move on to the next thing. What they're really saying is they need you to spend resources to entertain them. Like I said before, you ever hear a woman say, I'm bored, you better get away from that bitch. Because that's one boring bitch right there. But you have to keep in mind you are talking to someone that believes in the monk philosophy and will continue on down that path of self-enlightenment and self-actualization the rest of my life. I don't care how bored or how boring they are anymore. It's because we are perched headlong on the edge of boredom. Hope this message finds you gentlemen well. We'll talk again real soon.